Muted.
Looking at Chapter 5 today, Overcoming Obstacles. And the main thing is when you have an obstacle, that like the success principle here is the answer to my problem is at my next presentation. And that's specifically talking about building your business. And a lot of people come into obstacles, and the best thing to do is face them, go at them, and we're going to talk about that today. So a little bit of review here. We do have the 21 days of prayer and fasting. Go to ShieldNation.com, go to the Facebook page, and you will see that. It's amazing stories of inspiration. I'm going to be doing stories on business success as well, but we have life, we have marriage, we have overcoming, you name it, because when you are whole, complete, and lacking nothing, then you can go out to the world, and then you can share what's in you. Then you can become fruitful and multiply, and that's the purpose you have. The world's waiting to see what you got inside you. So we need to release everything we have, because that's how we bless others. And that means also with the product that we have, with Legal Shield, but with your life in general, in all areas. So be the dad you're meant to be the wife you're meant to be the Legal Shield associate you're supposed to be, not halfway. You never see a tree grow halfway. Trees grow all the way, and then they produce fruit. So a fruitless tree or a half-grown tree is not really its purpose. So that's what that's all about. 21 days of prayer and fasting. 2016 is our first year, but we will do this every year to launch our year and have a highly blessed year. I don't know what happened there. All right, so the purpose of Success Habits Workbook is to develop a plan, know and understand what you control, put that into a habit formation, develop a mindset behind getting yourself to do those habits, overcoming obstacles that you are going to face, grow from those, and develop a new normal. So that is literally what we do, what we do in the whole book, and that's the 7 kind of steps that that we do. Okay, we've gone through my screen. All right, we've gone through, let's go back, chapter 1, 2, 3, about working those goals, knowing what we control, managing those activities, and now 4 last week, if you think you can or think you can't, you're right. All right, today we're going to go into obstacles, and then next week is about working on you, personal development. All right, let's get started on today's subject, which is how do you overcome an obstacle? All right, so we've talked about this before. You've heard me teach. If a storm is coming, the storm is coming from the left to the right, or let's say east to the west, and the storm is coming, the cow, you can see the arrows on the screen. A cow would run in the direction of the storm. It sees the storm coming. Oh no, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. So the cow is going to run in the direction the storm is going. Well, the problem with that is that eventually the storm and the cow are running in the same direction together. And then the cow is going to last longer in the storm because he's running with it. Okay, whereas the bull says, no, okay, I see a storm, don't like the storm, but I'm going to face it head on. I'm going to go at the storm. I'm going to go at the obstacle, and I'm going to deal with it. And it goes straight into the storm, like in the direction the storm is coming, it faces it and runs directly into the storm. Now, both of these the cow, the bull, are both going to deal with a storm. And a storm is painful. A storm is no fun, but they're both going to deal with the storm. The question of today's webinar is, how long do you want to be in your storm? If you run with it, you're going to be in it for a long time because you're trying to run away from it. And it's going to not run away from you. It's going to stay with you. You're going to run with it. It's going to linger. It's going to be a problem in your life, whatever that problem is, and we're going to deal with those things. So if you say, we're going to kind of go through how do you be a bull and how do you go at it and overcome that obstacle. So the bull is going to go at the storm. He's going to deal with the storm. He's not going to like the storm, but he's going to move through it because it's going over the top of him and he's going in the opposite direction. So both deal with the pain of the obstacle, but one stays in it less time because they choose to deal with it directly. So you must bust it up and break through. So that's the deal. That's what we're going to work on today. What is the thing that's stopping you from being your full potential? We want to bust it up, like get at it, focus on it, get over it, break through, those things. And let's do it together. So we are going to do a poll. So everybody pay attention, get on your screens. You need to be active here. The first poll can be brought up, Trish. And the question I want to know from the group on the webinar today is, what is your greatest obstacle separating you from the success you know you can be? So everybody look at that poll, and those questions on the poll, I cannot see them because I don't get the poll. So Trish, can you read? Oh, does it say laziness? So laziness and procrastination, okay, fear of rejection and or your fear of failure, maybe that's the thing that's stopping you from going out there. You're not making that call. You're not going to new companies. You're not sharing our opportunity with people to expand your business. Is it because you have lack of confidence? Is it that you don't have any time to do that? Are you totally disorganized? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Or you're like, oh, I don't want to call them. What will they think of me? What might they say about my business? What might they think about my service? If they, I just can't deal with that. So what is the thing for you? Or is it just like, I don't feel like it, lazy. I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll get to that tomorrow. I'll get to that tomorrow. Okay, so what percent are we done?
We're at 64%.
All right, I'll give you a few more minutes, a few more seconds, actually. And when it gets to 80, then go ahead and shut it down. We'll look at what we have here. Interesting. All right. And show the polling results. Let's look at what the greatest obstacles, and this is what, for the people on the webinar today. So we have 33% of you are disorganized. Wow, the biggest one. Am I seeing that right, Trish? Trish?
Yes.
What? Is that right? 33% is disorganized?
Yep, that's right.
I have to say, I don't see the poll, so tell me what the answers are.
We have 20% laziness and procrastination, 29% fear of rejection and or fear of failure, 33% disorganization, 11% lack of confidence, and 7% time.
Okay. All right. Well, interesting. All right. So our top is just your lazy, or what was it? Lazy and
disorganization. Actually, the top two were disorganization, and then the second one was 29% fear of rejection and or fear of failure.
All right. All right. So now that we know those are our things, the disorganization, that's a little bit different story, but the fear of failure, laziness, procrastination, we're going to work on those two. And then disorganization, that's, I would go definitely right now after, if that's you, I would go to the ShieldNation. We have a whole organizational structure of how you track things, where do you put things, and the system is literally the best thing I have ever done. The people in Knoxville, the EDs that are breaking out of Knoxville, they swear by it. Laura, can you talk right now? Laura Barker, are you on the phone? I just want to talk to this organization, because what are we doing? Right now we are breaking these things apart. We are working on doing that. You bust it up and you break through. So Laura Barker out there, can you just talk about the tracking system of ShieldNation real quick and how it's helped you and your team?
Oh, absolutely. I swear by it. You have to start with the top star prospecting list and work that out. Then you're going to move to the Wealth Builders tracking form as you contact your leads, and then you can track them on that. Then you have your phone call tracking system, which is phenomenal, just to keep you real. That will keep you real about the amount of work you're doing and the calls you're making. And then also the personal daily achievement calendar. basically, the PDA, which if you will keep that filled out, you put your non-negotiables in there, and then you will see just exactly how much work are you doing, and are you planning it out into the future, or are you just working kind of day by day or week by week? But if you'll put these into play and really rely on them, I know my team members use them, I use them, and we've really had great success with them.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Laura. And that is absolutely right. So if you want to break through, then you've got to do the things that get on with that success tracking form. I don't know how you can live without it. That's exactly how I did everything. So let's go back to the next polling question. All right, so what is your greatest reward over? So that is the question we're going to look at. Think of it this way. If you are going to overcome the, let's say, procrastination, let's say the fear of failure, what would your reward be if you overcome it? So show the audience the polling on that, and let's see what your answer is. What are you looking for?
Cleaning?
All right. Mute the callers. Trish, please. How far along are we, Trish?
73%.
Okay, give it like 5 more seconds. Okay, so now you can see what your results are. We know what our greatest obstacle is, whatever that is for you, and now you look at what is the reward to overcome it. You've got to have that in your mind. Now, we're looking at the results, and 66% say financial freedom, 20% say building confidence, and 13% personal accomplishment. Just knowing I overcame it, 13%. Well, in actual polls and study of growth, one of the companies I study for their success in helping people succeed, they look for people in an interview process that say the #1 thing that they want to do in life is to grow and accomplish. Okay, if the person is strictly looking for the money, it's not a big enough motivator. So the ones that you have money, that's okay, but not great. So it's important that we kind of go over that. Let's go over that right now. When you have money as your goal, money is like it's not a purpose. It's a thing. You can buy things with it. So what I would like you to do with the people that said money, the financial freedom, I want you to unravel that for something tangible, an emotion, something purposeful inside of that financial. Maybe it's sending your kids to private school, something that's going to be more rather than money. And it would be more along the lines of an emotion that's deep and deep-rooted in you. So here's the example I want you to understand. And now you got to show my screen, Trish, please. Take away the polling. All right. Here's what it looks like. What do you love more? Let's say I love not having to deal, right here. See the before and see the after? All right, so in the before, I have a 90 out of 100 in my fear of failure. It's so huge that I cannot even think about making a call or going to see somebody. So that is my bondage. Let's look at it that way, before. If I love so much not having to deal with rejection or fear of failure or laziness, or I so much love not having to deal with that becomes the thing I love more, the not having to deal with it. So that's my higher thing, and my result then, therefore, very low. My reward, very low, because the love of not having to face rejection, not having to deal with a no, not having to get out of my comfort zone, not having to deal with my disorganization and my piles of things, and having to go to that webinar on ShieldNation and under new associate training and learn about that tracking system and, oh my gosh, I got to learn one more thing. Okay, because you love your present state, literally, you don't want to, you'd never say this, but the reality is the cost of you having to shift, okay, over to something different, you actually right now, and I always use this quote with myself, don't complain about what you permit. So don't complain, Darcy. You're permitting this in your life. So if you don't like it, quit complaining about it. You're allowing it. You're not doing anything about it. You haven't set up a system to break through this thing. You are allowing it. So don't say you hate it because you actually love it, because you just keep feeding that monster of maybe overweight or eating wrong or not exercising. I hate the way I feel. Well, do you? You must love the way you feel more than you like to exercise, because I am actually not going to the gym. So those are the kind of things. Now, when you shift that over and your mindset says, I want that reward, it's got to be deeper than just money. It's got to be bigger. It's got to be emotional. It's got to be something you see and you want and you desire, and you are willing to have the desire for that reward be bigger. You will love the feeling of getting financially free. And you have to create the tangible, emotional, mental reasons and purposes behind that financial reward. In order for that reward and what it does to be bigger than the rejection or the possible rejection, possible fear of failure, or you having to deal with your piles of disorganization in your disorganized life, some of those things are lack of knowledge. You are only able to access and to achieve the level of understanding you have. So on the disorganizational thing, since that was the highest, I just want to deal with that. If you don't know, lack of knowledge, that people perish, don't know how to organize, then you can only achieve in life your level of your present awareness. So the difference between what you know and what you're capable of is your untapped potential. So when you know, or if you have a false emotion appearing real to you, fear, okay, about failure, because that's what you have made real to you, until you have additional knowledge that replaces that, and now you look at that fear of rejection differently, a new perspective, okay, than just a negative perspective. You start to realize that it isn't rejection of you, it's that, and if you don't overcome that person on the other side of the home or the family or the presentation that you aren't giving is going without the service, is going without knowing about Legal Shield and what it can do for them. They might just get a ticket. They might need a will. They might be treated so poorly by a situation at work, and you, because of your fear, didn't go and make a presentation. So the focus, this big yellow over here, this big reward needs to also include other people. And we're going to get to how Brielle overcame this later in the webinar. So that's just a little thing to think about. What do you love more? Not having to have that fear of rejection, not having to deal with things, or do you love the reward and what you could have, what you could become, so much more that you're going to say, this thing is no longer going to be in my life. All right, so the key is that the thing that is the obstacle for you is this little red road, this little split that happens is going to happen on that particular behavior obstacle possibly 5, 10, 20 times a day until you choose to go in a way that's opposite of your natural, comfortable decision-making processes. Because this obstacle, which you have, like a cow possibly, run away from, not dealt with, is sitting there every day waiting to take you down, waiting to say you're not as good as you could be, and steal your confidence, steal your dreams, steal your legacy. All right, so you come to this fork in this road, this pivot point is what we call it, a pivot point 5, 10, 20 times a day until that habit, you're moving to the right, you're choosing uncomfortable, you're going to do what successful people do, you're not having this weight anymore, you're not having this lack of health anymore, you're not having this lazy behavior anymore, you're not having this disorganization, you're not allowing fear to overcome you anymore. So you are going to choose. Now this is the part where you choose, and you're going to, it's going to be new to you, and you're not going to exactly like it, but guess what happens? Boom. That's where breakthrough is. The second you step out of the boat, walk on the water, and you are going to experience a breakthrough. And eventually, then day 2 comes, you choose again. That pivot point comes, that option for you personally. You are in control to go to the side that's uncomfortable, not even natural for you at first. And you're going to say, I'm done with this. I'm going that way. I'm going to choose right. I'm going to pick up the phone, and it doesn't matter. I have picked up the phone 20 times today. I have let it ring. Somebody has answered 5 times, and all 5 times were terrible experiences. Yay, I picked it up 20 times. I dialed 20 times, 5 negative experiences. I don't care, because I'm going to celebrate the win that I made the 20 calls. The next day, you do it again, you get 1 positive. Wow. Okay, you get 1 positive call. You get an appointment. Awesome. So that happens. And you eventually celebrate the new behavior, celebrate the decision and the mindset to say, I'm going to be an overcomer. I'm going to break through. So that's what's going to happen. And as you choose your pivot point on a daily basis, you will experience breakthrough, but more importantly, this is what you're going to experience. Every time you choose a right habit, you will build mental toughness. It's going to change, literally the synapses of your brain are going to get reprogrammed in a very deep place. So this isn't like at first, it's like you're making a decision, you're making a choice, you're saying to yourself, here's my obstacles, here's what my dream is, and my perspective is going to change. Instead of thinking, I hate going to the gym, I hate to exercise, like that, and you say, I love to exercise because I love to feel good, I like more energy. That is more important to me than the pain of going to the gym. And then you start to shift over to what you want, not the yuck, the pain, the rejection. They might say this, they might say that. I don't want to make the call. But what about the last time I did this? This is what happened. Forget about all that. Focus on the vision. There's another verse that says, thy people perish. Without vision, thy people throw off restraint. What that means is without vision on the right things, that people throw off discipline. Restraint means discipline. So if you don't have the right vision, you're not even disciplined. So you don't have that mental toughness to push through, to not live your life by your emotions, not live your life by your feelings. You wake up, I don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like making the calls. I don't feel like going to the meeting. I don't feel like having to do a PBR. I don't feel, well, it doesn't matter. See, when you develop right habits, your habits are what lead you, not your feelings. And this is what you get mental toughness. And you realize, and your perspective changes, so you're able to overcome those options, even rejection. You can overcome rejection if you decide. So this is Brielle's biggest thing, rejection. I don't want to go talk to people because they might say no. And that no was so huge to her, so she had to get a purpose bigger than her fear. And this, I was, hearing her come back from meetings and how she was struggling, and she was so, some people thought they knew what Legal Shield was, and they had this attitude, oh, I've heard of that, but they haven't heard of that. They haven't. If you heard of Legal Shield really, and you heard about the service, you'd have it. How can you say no to the service? It's so affordable. So in today's world, and it's the top solution for today's mess of a world. To not have it would be, especially today, is kind of like they must not have gotten a thorough, complete presentation to have made a decision to not have it. So anyone who doesn't have it, I just think they didn't get a good presentation. Someone didn't care enough about them. Maybe they said, hey, I got Legal Shield, you should get it. Oh, that's what, 5-second presentation? That wasn't a complete presentation to serve the needs of that family, that individual, that company, for them to fully understand. And even when they say now, Brielle was like, I have 100% close within 2 weeks. So maybe at that moment, they're kind of like processing it, and then they go into life for the next 2 weeks, and they realize this happened, that happened, this happened, and you brought the awareness to them. So Brielle got this picture. When she walked in and the population 785,828, and someone says, no, not interested. That doesn't, I just think there's nobody nobody gets traffic tickets. Nobody needs a will. Nobody has identity theft. It's not even an issue in life. Da da da. They're so smart, and they say no. This is what happened. Brielle said, I can feel good because I know I serve them, and I serve them well. Good and faithful servant. You have done well. Her perspective was how she was serving versus how she was selling. So she would be able to pick up that phone because her motive of her heart was right. She could go out to the greater Knoxville area knowing she has a gift, knowing she has something to offer them. And if they said no, at least she did her part. She educated them, and then 2 weeks later, within 2 weeks, they would be calling her back, and they would be getting protected. So instead of going, I got to go to a presentation, and if they say no that day, I'm a failure. I did wrong. I was rejected. No, 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 no. She was celebrating. She was educating. She was sharing. She did a good thing for that company, a good thing for that family. Now they know, K-N-O-W. So the K-N-O-W of the family was more important than if they said N-O, no, I don't want the service. And then with that ally, with that attitude, with that servant leadership posture, then you go to the appointment. Getting referrals is a definite because they know that you really care about them. And you say, I care about you. This has helped my family so much. She would just say that, and I just want you to know and understand its value. It might be good for you, and if it is, that's great. If it's not, you might know some people. No big deal. That's what she was doing. She was mission motivated versus commission motivated. All right, so let's just like her, this is what happened. The get a no used to be huge failure, fear, whoa, they might say no. See how big that became? She changed her perspective. I can protect a family. That became her desire, her reward, her mission to protect a family, and that became bigger than the no right here. The no became little, so it didn't have power over her, and she shifted. That's how you do it. Okay, and so now let's just talk. Let's open up the line. Share an obstacle you have overcome. Brielle, I'm going to call on you first since I've just been talking about you. And why don't you share anything about this situation and anything I might have missed about your story about overcoming the obstacles as you grew into a $100,000 ringer. Brielle Hoffman?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Hello? Hey, awesome. Well, good morning, everyone. That was an incredible webinar, so powerful, always is. It's just interesting because I feel like I'm going through a lot of the things that I went through at the beginning of my business again, now having moved to a new market. I moved to Nashville last July, but I spent the majority of the first couple months traveling for work, so I feel like I'm just now getting plugged in. So I'm having to go back to just the principles that I applied in the very first of my business when it came to overcoming rejection and different things like that, and just reminding myself of the reason why I do what I do. I remember I was working with Cap Stewart on an account this past fall, one of our associates in Knoxville, an incredible leader, and I called an HR director after I was referred into this account by one of the employees who had the service, and I just was talking to the HR director on the phone, and I said, Lori, the reason why I'm so passionate about what I do is because our family's had this service for 17 years, and it's saved our family tens of thousands of dollars, but most importantly, time. You'd probably agree time is money. And she stopped me right there, and she goes, Brielle, that's exactly why I want to work with you. And the reason why is because she sensed right there I wasn't just going in there to sell a bunch of product to make a bunch of commission to just, they never see me again. I was there because I was passionate about what I do. I was mission motivated. So for all of you out there, I think that especially those of you that are launching, I know Michael and Alexandra French out of the Birmingham market introduced themselves earlier today. They're launching their business, just getting started. I think this is one of the key principles to starting right is just remembering the foundational reason why you do what you do, because if that's your driving force, then no type of rejection should be able to get you down. So those are my 2 cents. Back to you, Mom.
Okay, thank you, Brielle. And Brielle, you know how to work the phones. I'm going to let you take over and kind of talk to people and open up lines. Put your hand
awesome.
up.
Yes.
Go ahead, Brielle.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, well, we're going to go out to some of the great leaders that are on the call today. Would love to hear your thoughts, hear your feedback. I would actually like to go out to one of my mentors, Miss Cheryl Bloom Garcia. I believe she is on the call. Would love to hear just kind of her thoughts on this webinar. I know she's faced rejection, overcome rejection, because she's very mission motivated. Cheryl, your thoughts?
Oh, thank you so much, Brielle. Well, it's so funny because last night I was looking at a video from Tony Robbins, and he said, you get what you tolerate. And then this morning, Darcy's saying, don't complain about what you permit. You're allowing it. It's like, okay, this is like a huge message for me right now to look at that. And yes, every day, you know, we're faced with the calling and the rejection. And like you, I don't like rejection at all. And so yesterday I had on my list to call was a university, and I didn't call them because afraid of rejection. But what happened is the next meeting I went to a network meeting, and I asked the CPA, I said, what does your wife do? And he said, oh yeah, she works at University Hospital. And I said, fabulous. You know, they're on my list to call today. And he said, oh, because they have the plan. Oh yeah, we love the plan. We love the plan. So anyways, that was a little more motivation, like when you can look at, because he already has it, and calling and setting up the appointment. So I guess the big nugget for me, saying all that, is going back to what Darcy said, is don't complain about what you permit. And just to keep the activity and look at the positive outcomes. And I like how she said, celebrate that you picked up the phone. That is huge. And now that they know KNOW versus saying no to the service. So those are the two big nuggets for me this morning. Thank you so much. I love this webinar. It's excellent. Thank you.
That's awesome. Thanks, Cheryl, for sharing that incredible wisdom there. I love how a lot of times when we go out to professionals like you in the field, you recap some of the important things, and it kind of just continues to drive home these principles that we need to live by and run our business by. So thanks for sharing. I also want to go out to another great friend and leader in this business who I've known since I was a little girl. Mr. Marvin Worthy, I believe you are out there. I'm unmuting you. You're raising your hand. Any thoughts, sir?
Well, first and foremost, congratulations to you. I can be more proud than you. You're an inspiration for me. The webinar, as usual, was right on spot. The one thing that continuously come to mind for me in the beginning of the business was that I had a chicken list. And then I recognized that, you know, I've always taught the message that the more time you spend being uncomfortable, the more uncomfortable becomes comfortable. And so when we recognize that, you know, being a little unsettled or a little nervous and anxious is the reason why we do this business. Because when we get through that, we have the ability to protect lives and move forward. And so I can't think of a better webinar, particularly for those who are brand new, who are experiencing some doubt or fear, that at the end of the day, once you fight through that, what's on the other end is really the great opportunity to be part of an incredible ministry, and that is empowering individual families and businesses all across North America. And so I don't think any of us can afford not to be uncomfortable, because that's how you build the business. And so, Darcy, as usual, you did a magnificent job, and thank you so much. I'll give it back to you, Brielle.
Awesome. I love how you said we cannot afford to be uncomfortable. And that's so true, because if you do view it like in a sense, a mission or / a ministry to make a difference for others, there's so many people out there who need our service and have yet to hear about it. And if we let our fear keep us from educating them, who are we robbing? Well, we're robbing them, but we're also robbing ourselves. And so we don't want to do that. So we got to keep on pressing on. Another great leader is Miss Teresa Johnson. Your thoughts, ma'am? Teresa, are you out there? All right. Usually she responds pretty quickly. Anybody else, thoughts, comments? Would love to hear from you. I'm going to go back out to a lot of you. You might be raising your hand, but you haven't put in your PIN code for audio. So somebody that has,
CJ?
Yeah, CJ or Didi, are you out there? Can you share your thoughts on the call today, please?
I am out here. Thank you so much again, and once again another knockout webinar, as always. When this happened, when you were speaking this morning about if they don't get that service, I just think that they just probably didn't have a great presentation. And I actually started laughing, almost fell out of my chair. It was really funny because I was on an appointment the other day with one of my brokers, and I met with this client with my broker. He runs like at a food court. He runs one of those food stations at a food court. So he's a businessman, and I presented to him 3 months ago a consumer folder presentation, and he had to think about it. Right, he had this successful business owner had to think plan for his family. Okay, fine. So, we did everything right, gave him the information, put him into an email system to, keep in touch with him. But, I stopped by a few times. He wasn't really interested. And then lo and behold, last week, he gets a speeding ticket. Now, the speeding ticket is my favorite aspect of the plan to focus on because, for me, I've used it several times, so I could speak from experience with this. And I used that example to him 3 months ago, and he didn't take our plan. When I met with him the other day, and I reminded him of the speeding ticket feature, and that now, although you can't fully use our service for that specific speeding ticket, but you have a wife, you have children that are of driving age, you're a businessman, it's very time-consuming for you to go to court. He went to court, paid a fine, the whole 9 yards. He still didn't buy it. And I even attached member perks. He uses AT&T. I was able to show the 10% discount, effectively making his product less money. And he still said, nah, I have to think about it. And I just looked at him, and I think the look I gave him just kind of said it all. And I just said, well, okay. Well, I mean, life already showed you how well our product could have served you. And, again, just continue to give him some information. And I sat down with my broker after that, and I said, I don't know, I must be a terrible, I must deliver a terrible presentation because he just didn't get it. And you know what? That's the moral of the story. Some people just don't get it. But here's the real moral of the story. The very next call him and I went on, we walked right into that business, and that business owner bought it right on the spot. So it's just, you can't let this stuff stop you. Face that storm, run into it, face the rejection. Some will, some won't. We're out there. We're mission focused. We're not commission focused. We're a part of one of the largest, this is one of the biggest opportunities that we've ever had in our lifetime, I believe. And we just got to go after it, folks, and just get out there and see the people and tell the story. So that's my thoughts. So that's back to you.
That's awesome. I was cracking up over here while you were talking because I can totally relate. I can guarantee you if we went through all the different people on the call and, asked to share a story of the person who just didn't get it, I think we all have those people. And sometimes I want to reach across the table and shake them and say, what are you waiting for? Do you realize that literally 2-3 cups of coffee a month provides your family this protection? And so anyway, eventually they'll come around. I've educated people on the membership, and it takes them 5-6 months to sign up, but eventually they get it. I stay in touch. I, make it about their family. Hey, how's the family? How's work? How's everything going? How's life? Great, just touching base, and eventually they will get it. I wanted to go back out to Miss Laura Barker again. Hopefully she's still on the call. Just speaking of overcoming rejection, Laura is probably one of she's a phenomenal leader, and she's overcome a lot in her life, and she's one of the greatest leaders on our team, and I'm just so thankful for her. She's kind of taken over as regional manager for the Knoxville market, but I can think of some instances in the business in which I've worked with her on, in which she's had to overcome rejection and not get down by it, and she has indeed just done that, and keeping the positive attitude she's kept. She's now, let's see, it's halfway through the month, and she's almost executive director. I know one of her goals this year is to be consistently ED. So Laura, please kind of share your thoughts in this webinar and what you've done to apply to your business that's helped your business grow.
Oh, can you hear me okay, Bria?
Yep.
Oh, okay, super. Well, gosh, the webinar is so on point with overcoming obstacles and not letting them bring you down. You know, some of my friends accuse me of wearing rose-colored glasses, but that's my way of looking at life. There is always a silver lining. No matter how bad the situation looks, you can count on it, first of all, changing and getting better if you will just, like Darcy says, just bust through it. You know, don't shy away from it. Just say, you know what, I'm going to pick myself up and let's go do this again. And the more you do that, the more you build your confidence. The more you build your confidence, the more you grow. And it's just sort of a wonderful exponential growth cycle if you will just kind of get used to being uncomfortable. And that's kind of my motto. If I'm not uncomfortable, I'm doing something wrong. So I guess that's pretty much what I have to say. I don't know what you were thinking of specifically, but that's
I was just thinking about the law firm and how you didn't give up.
Yeah, okay. So I had gotten the opportunity to present our products to a law firm, the legal plan as well as the ID plan, which I was thrilled about. Well, at the first time we did the presentation, we did not get a single application. Well, that's not true. We got one, except of course it wasn't enough to open a group. Well, we didn't have all of the employees there, so I kept pushing to get in front of the people who weren't there and maybe explain it a little bit differently, come to a different approach. Well, finally got back in and got more applicants this time, and so now I have lawyers in a prominent law firm in Knoxville who have the legal plan, which I'm just tickled pink about. So, because it wasn't just the staff that got it, but also some lawyers. So that was really thrilling for me. But it took quite a bit of ignoring their rejection, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And let me say something just real quick. So we presented this law firm, and the first meeting we had probably 5 or 6 people, and with one of them being a lawyer. And we asked the question, you know, how much would you charge if we asked you to do all of the different benefits we just explained on a monthly basis for our entire family? How much would you charge monthly? And the lawyer stops and kind of looks at us and goes, $350,000 a month. And Laura and I just were like kind of blown away, you know, and he was pretty serious about it, yet he still didn't get the plan, you know. So it's just so, you know, confusing to me how some people just don't see the value that we all see, obviously. But the thing about it is Laura didn't give up, and she's not ever been one to give up. So Laura, I'm so proud of you, and look forward to your success. This is going to be a great year for you. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Bria.
And next up, you're welcome. Next up, I want to go to another incredible leader, Ms. Katie Huff. I'm sure she has so many stories of just having how the right mindset has drastically impacted her business and overcoming rejection. Ms. Katie Huff, are you out there? Can you share your thoughts?
I'd love to. I appreciate the fact that I can share some experience and hopefully empower some of the associates on the phone to realize that whether you've been in the company for 1 day, 1 week, or 17 years, we all face these obstacles that we have to stop in the storm and go, okay, my choice is, do I just bail on this process? Do I pack up and just, you know, walk away like with the cow in that storm? Or do I literally take charge of my financial future, my time freedom, all the, you know, things that everyone's wise of, you know, providing for your family, providing for, you know, your dreams and goals. And so here's an example. I mean, even in this year, it's only the 15th of the month, and I swear I was like, oh my gosh, I have had a number of things, and I don't want to be gloom and doom, but I mean, I've had accounts that only meet once a year that didn't contact me, I didn't contact them, they met on the day that I called them, and so like I learned that I need to contact them at the 1st of December versus the end of December, because they have a one-time meeting once a year, January, the first week of the year, and that's the only time I can meet with them. So that was strike one. Strike two, I literally had another account that literally had confirmed it, was set up, doing the packets, getting ready to go there. And I get an email saying, where are you? And this is the day before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what do you mean, where am I? We confirmed that this is on Thursday, not Wednesday. She had made a mistake, which we all are human, we make mistakes. She'd made a mistake and sent me the email. We even confirmed it, that it was January 7th in the email. Well, she had to turn away 40 employees that were sitting there waiting for me because it was January 6th, not January 7th. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, another strike. So I'm like, okay, I need to create some momentum. I need to make some calls. So this week, I'm literally with a company, and they have 150 employees in Missoula where I'm at. I rent a hotel room to support this company, thinking that I'm going to see probably maybe 50% of them, just because it's a reservice and it's a home health agency. And I'm telling you guys, I had one person show up in those 8 hours. So I'm sitting there, and you know, this picture of the bull, I felt like that. I was so upset. I was so mad. I was just like, oh my gosh. So the blessing is this. I literally had the sales and marketing guy come in, and he says to me, well, what exactly do you do? And through that process of telling him about Legal Shield, Identity Shield, he's sitting there and he goes, I want this. So I sell him, sign him up, and get him on board with this. He then says, you need to come down and talk to our manager at this hotel. I go down and talk to the manager, and she says, yes, I'm interested. I can't talk to you this week. Let's talk next week. Perfect. I then contact the company that, you know, I feel we failed the employees because we didn't get them to the location to learn about how we can protect them, save them time, save them money. And so I contact the HR person. Well, she isn't wanting to budge, but I have a relationship with the owner. I call the HR people, or not the HR people, the managers in these other two locations. I'm figuring, you know, we all know that this is about relationships. So I contact the other two locations. One was in Helena and the one is in Billings next week. Billings is 5 hours one way for me, just for a reference point. So I'm going, I can't afford to drive 5 hours one way to have zero show up. So I got on the phone and I called both of these people and I said, help me help you and your employees. Help me to get this message to your employees. I have no doubt that they need our services. They then got on the phone and started texting and calling their employees, because the way they were notified was through postcards that some of them didn't even get regarding my meeting. So the point is that they got people there. People showed up in Helena. I got 100% of the people that showed up signed up. I've contacted the woman in Billings. She said, we'll do whatever we can, and in the future, maybe we need to reschedule. So it's not the end of the road. It's not that it's over. So when you get lemons, you have a choice in that arrow that is like, do I run or do I head it face on? And do I get uncomfortable? I was very uncomfortable going, oh my gosh, I've had all these things. It's only the 15th of the month. I need to do whatever I can to save this month and help as many people as I can. So I was on the phone. I've made tons of calls. I've made probably 20, 25 calls yesterday to prepare for a luncheon in Billings, to prepare for that training in Billings and offering of our services. And so all I'm saying is that we all face the same things. It's just we have that moment in time where we go, okay, do I push through? And the more you push through and the more you become uncomfortable, the better your results will be. And then you'll be able to handle the situation the next time it comes up better. It's a learning process for growth for us and for the employees and for the company. So I just want to share that it happens to all of us. The way you survive is to persevere and to continue to do the job. And so I'll just send it back to you, Brielle, and I hope that helps people to realize that we're all in this together and we just need to lock arms and support each other as we do on this Friday webinar, which are absolutely awesome. And I'm so grateful for you, Brielle, your mom and your dad, and just our ShieldNation family, that we are here to support each other and grow through this process. So back to you.
That's so awesome and so powerful, Katie. Thank you so much for sharing. But it's interesting, and it's what I want to point out is the fact that you could have been discouraged. You could have hung your head. You could have got back in your car and just been like, oh, well, I guess I'll get them next year. But you didn't. You didn't. You called. You pursued. You have strong relationships, which is absolutely critical. There's nothing worse than feeling like the relationship isn't very, very strong and feeling uncomfortable to make a call to ask for help. You had strong relationships. You said, hey, help me help you. I want to make sure your employees are educated, that they're served. And the fact that 2 managers were calling and texting employees says a lot. It says a lot about you, it says a lot about our services, says a lot about their leadership and their care for the employees. So I just want to encourage you, just like Katie did, go the extra mile. This is the difference between exponential thinking and linear thinking. Trust me, I'm the first to say that I had a lot of linear thinking in the beginning of my business where I would go and present to a small business owner and talk about the employee benefits, but not talk about the small business plan. You know, so you want to think exponentially versus linearly. So great job, Katie. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts.
Brianna,
yes.
starts, Mom. I just want to say one more thing about CJ mentioned it and some other people mentioned it, but I just want to make sure this is something that's totally helped me. I've remembered it for 25 years, and I want to share it. What do you do when you make a presentation? You know how I said they can say no, and maybe we didn't make a good presentation. So you have to reflect, like CJ talked about. Wait a minute, this guy, he's laughing about maybe I'm terrible at presentations. Well, maybe you're fantastic. CJ, I had somebody say no for 2 years, and then the husband saw it, and they said yes immediately, and they say it's the best product. They've had it for over 12 years now. So sometimes it's just the wrong audience. And how do you know? And what should motivate you to know that you've done your job? And that the answer to this is the word persistence. When do you persist and keep going back? And my mentor, $80 million mentor of John and I, he told us this one thing that really helped me, and that is, I will persist in making a presentation to fully inform and fully serve a person, a company, etc., a broker, until they fully and completely KNOW. And it sounds like CJ, that guy that you presented to, fully knows. He completely saw all. I mean, how do you see the consumer folder and not see all the benefits? I mean, you went through everything from A to Z. So you did your job. So if we do our job and they don't see it, you can still celebrate that you have done a good thing for a person or a company. So that is really important. The word persistence is to persist until someone KNOWs about the fullness of our opportunity or our product. So I wanted to share that. And then you can go out to, I think Steve Hales is out there and some others. Aaron Gonzalez is also.
Absolutely. Yes. So powerful, and I know that family and I know that story, and it's amazing to see how much that family has been affected in a positive way because of our membership, and you know, it just took time. So it took time and care and persistence. So Mr. Stephen Hales, are you out there? You are unmuted, sir. Tell us your thoughts on the call this morning.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, good. So I just wanted to share my biggest obstacle in 2015. I transitioned from a full-time factory worker to a full-time freedom fighter. But I had my biggest obstacle was finding out who I am in that space. It was very easy for me to identify myself as a full-time factory worker and doing Legal Shield part-time and having a blast, and everything's just so much fun and light and free. And then I have to do this full-time, and I have to figure out what is comfortable in an uncomfortable situation, right? So I spent a couple months where it was like I had the same activity that I had when I was part-time because that was comfortable. I wasn't getting uncomfortable. I wasn't going outside of my comfort zone. So I just trying to figure that out, who I was, and then it kind of clicked to me. It kind of clicked on me. It was like, okay, now like I said, I have to be comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. So what I mean is, I'll give you an example. Back in September or October, I was doing some cold calls, which is uncomfortable. And one of the businesses I called was the Easter Seals of Eastern Pennsylvania. And it's comfortable for me to network. So my approach was very light networking. I knew Easter Seals. I didn't really know what they did, so I basically set up an appointment to go out and meet with their marketing person and just find out more about what they did. While I was there, I said, are there any service projects that you have that, you know, you could use some help on? I'd be more than willing to volunteer my time to help this great organization. And we kind of looked out the window, and it was fall, and all the leaves were in the trees, and I said, I bet in a month those leaves are all going to be on the ground, and you're going to need somebody to rake them up. So I just volunteered to go out on a Saturday, rake some leaves. Then I found out they had a big mulch pile. They put in a new swing set. They needed the mulch moved. Long story short, I volunteered 8 hours of my time, 5 hours one Saturday, 3 hours another Saturday, just moving leaves and mulch and all that stuff. And they were very thankful, sent me 2 Christmas cards. Then in January, I called the CEO, and I said, Nancy, I'd love to get together with you and share with you what I do, just to see if you know any of the types of people that I'm looking to connect with for my business. And matter of fact, in about an hour, I have an appointment with the CFO at their corporate location in Allentown. So just wanted to share, you know, overcoming that obstacle of figuring out who I am, and I'll give it back to you. Thank you.
Important principle, give and it shall be given unto you. I love how you gave first, really not expecting anything in return. Now look, you get to go hopefully win an account and serve some employees. So awesome job, Details. It's a great story. We have about 3 more minutes, so I want to go out briefly to Mr. Aaron Gonzalez. Your thoughts on the webinar this morning. Sir, are you out there?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, go ahead.
Let me come off of this headset just in case my grandson starts hollering or something. My biggest thing is in 2015 that I recognized at the end of the year was consistency. That's been my biggest obstacle, and it took some really deep soul searching, some looking in the mirrors, and some strong team members that, you know, to really, you know, have some behind-the-scenes conversations about that. And what I pick up from this call, I mean, every call is fantastic, but this call, I think, helped me figure out what I'm going to do. And it's basically, I have not been consistent plugging into the success systems, the tracking forms, the PDA. You know, because I think, as I'm listening, the more organized you are, the more you can track. The more you can track, the more you can see what you're not doing so that you can correct what you're doing. Because I know I'm not lazy. I know I don't have any fear. I know I'm super confident. You know, I know the business inside out, the membership inside and out. But have I been consistently working the business using the tracking system that really tell you what your business is? Because I remember John Hoffman says, and Brielle, by the way, you are so much sounding like your dad. Oh my God, when you respond to stuff, it's amazing. I appreciate that. I'm hearing, you know, look at your paychecks and look at your consistency. And if you're not consistent, you don't got a big paycheck, or you don't got any paycheck. So thank you guys for having this. I'm really excited about jumping into the organization. I'm going back to square one, getting my handful of guys together, and we're going to just greatly plug in to the PDAs, the tracking systems, and all that. And some amazing things are going to happen this year. Thanks so much. Back to you, Brielle.
Brielle?
Awesome, Aaron. Well, thank you. Thank you for your thoughts, Aaron. Yes, Mom?
Aaron, I'd like to say a couple things. Great to have you back on the tracking system. I would first go to the success assessment email everybody got. I would look at your success assessment for 2015. It's an exercise. It'll take you about 30 minutes to do. You'll look at the methods and the sources of where you're getting your success. So you're literally finding your sweet spot. And another thing about tracking, a lot of people don't track because they think they're going to find out what's bad about them. I would say when I have you track, I can literally see what you do right. So look at it as discovery, finding the treasure within. Don't look at it negative, look at it positive. Change your perspective. Tracking is going to show you where your strengths are. You might find out, wow, look at all my sales, look at all my associates. They're coming out of small business area. I must do really well in that arena. I must know how to talk to a small business person, or maybe it comes from a different, but you need to look at you need to assess. So start with the success assessment. There's a video that goes about it. There's a little form. It's great. It's eye-opening about what is good about you, not what is bad about you, what is good. Because if we can figure that treasure out and let that release that, and you're in your sweet spot, you'll double, triple your income just in that area. So back to you, Brielle.
That's awesome. Awesome, awesome. Well, it is 9:30, y'all, and thank you so much for being on the call this morning. I do want to say one other thing just real quick. Our church in Nashville is doing 21 days of prayer and fasting as well, and we have 6 a.m. prayer every morning. And this morning I was praying for each and every one of you, and I wanted you to know that. But I encourage you to join us in the 21 days of prayer and fasting. If you go to ShieldNation Facebook, we are posting devotionals every day. Would love for you to check those out. I believe that they will be incredibly encouraging to you. Feel free to post prayer requests on the Facebook wall. Yes, this is a business, but the foundation of what we do is making a difference for others, and that's what ministry is all about. So just want to let you know that we're praying for you and believing for this to be your best year yet. 2016 is it's going to be a good year for all of us. Start with reflection. 21 days of prayer and fasting is the perfect opportunity for us to reflect, like my mom was talking about, assessing our business. But I would like to take it a step further and just say reflect on this past year. How did you grow spiritually? How did you grow mentally? What about physically? You know, in your leadership ability, how did you grow? And decide, you know, how you want to grow this year in your business and what principles you need to apply or habits you need to apply in order to get there. So let's do it. Let's go make a difference for someone today. God bless all of you. Have a blessed day, and we will talk to you next week. Thanks so much. Bye.